Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison with another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the honor and privilege of having Sean Garner with Sean Garner Consulting. And we're going to talk about online marketing today. Thank you for being here, Sean.
Ken, thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity.
So before we get started, I always like people to introduce themselves. Kind of tell me your story. How did you end up with Sean Garner Consulting? Tell me your journey.
Yeah. So Ken, like most business owners, I think they waste a tremendous amount of money on marketing and they don't see results. And that's what I was doing. So my wife and I, we own several businesses. We've owned several businesses in the past, worked with several marketing agencies. And I felt like I was just dumping money and not seeing good results. And even though I was really, really good at the skill, I started out in the fitness industry. I was a writer and fitness advisor for Men's Health magazine. We owned multiple gyms. And so I thought, I've got all of this experience. I should be able to go online and make all this money because you see all these other online trainers doing it. And I went out and it just failed miserably. And then one of my friends had a girlfriend that took a weekend certification, but she was really good at social media marketing. And she, after her first month of being certified, was making $15,000 a month. And I was a trainer that had trained professional athletes, owned multiple facilities, done all of this stuff. But because I wasn't good at the marketing aspect, I wasn't making the money that I deserved to be making. So that led me down the rabbit hole of diving in and learning this digital marketing thing. And once I learned it for myself, started helping out other colleagues and friends in the fitness industry. And then one day I actually had my attorney come to me and he's like, "Hey, you're doing all this digital marketing stuff and helping out these personal trainers. Do you think that you could do it for my law firm?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's the same thing. You know, you got your brand messaging, you need a website, SEO, build out the sales funnel, drive traffic to it." And he's like, "Well, why don't you do it for my law firm?" So I did it for his law firm and it worked very well. And then my wife opened up her own medical practice and she said, "Hey, all the stuff that you're doing for the fitness centers and the gyms, why don't you do it for us as well?" Did it for the medical practice blew up. And then over the past, I would say about 4 years, about 2021, I had more and more just other industries, professional services. So accounting firms, medical spas, gyms, reaching out, looking for this digital marketing service. And so because I had been burned by so many marketing agencies in the past, and I wanted to help these businesses that just weren't looking to, get a few leads, but the people, I mean, honestly, Ken, just much like yourself, that you just don't want to be a good lawyer, but you were trying to be the best. Like you've created this amazing practice and now you're helping others do the exact same thing. That's what I wanted to do is I wanted to make the good people stand out, not just because they were good at marketing, but the people that are actually passionate about their craft and they're good at what they do. That's what our marketing agency has morphed into and really does now is we help the real professionals stand out online so they can grow their business and dominate their industry. And it's been a journey and we're still learning and it's been really, really fun.
Okay. So I want to cover several areas today. I think I'll start with the thing that's on everybody's mind right now, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So how do you think that's going to affect search? Good online searching. Do you think people are going to start going to Chat GPT or these other ones? I saw where Apple today was looking at buying Perplexity, which is, another search engine for lawyers and different things, research. So how do you think that's going to affect, if any at all,
yeah,
online marketing?
Yeah, great question. I definitely think it will have an impact. I think depending on the industry, it may be slower to impact it. I think that so law firms in particular, I don't think they're going to see a significant impact for a local business because even right now with going to ChatGPT, only about 1% of the queries into that asking it questions are commercial related. So most of the search queries that people are going to ChatGPT is how to. So I think that what that may impact is maybe some of the lower ticketed clients that are just trying to kind of DIY stuff themselves, like how to write a will, how to create a trust. Those type of services you might see a little bit of a hit on, but those aren't the type of people you're probably looking for in your practice anyway. But if somebody's saying like lawyer near me, they may still be going to ChatGPT to do that. But services like OpenAI and even with Bing and everything, they're not recrawling the internet they're using Common Crawl, which is what these services use to index everything, and they're just pulling the data from there. So even if you go to ChatGPT and you typed in, you know, best lawyer near me, Dallas, Texas, well, it's going to pull the same or similar search results if you've gone to Google and typed that exact same search term in. So I think that how people interact with search will change, because one thing that we were talking about before we even got started was, you know, it will be more of a progressive search, I think, with ChatGPT, where they might say, hey, I'm dealing with this situation, this legal issue. What do you think I should do? And ChatGPT is going to spit out an answer. And like the ultimate thing is going to be, oh, well, you need a lawyer. And then they're going to say, well, what kind of lawyer do I need? And then the ChatGPT will ask them questions, but it will still end up funneling them down to the best search result for them. So I think if you still want to make sure that you are showing up in AI search results, you need to make sure that you're following just good SEO practices, and you're not trying to trick or game the system, but you're actually trying to be the best at your craft. And that means doing the things like you're doing, making sure your website's optimized, you're creating content, you're publishing that out there, other people are talking about it, because that's how it's going to ultimately be pulling that data inside of these AI language models.
And another thing I want to talk about, ask your opinion on, and kind of get, like, you know, I see this. I run a lot of masterminds with Pilma, and a lot of my lawyers are just getting frustrated because they say even if I'm number one on the organic search, I'm still like number 16, because I got all this paid stuff, the PPC, the LSAs, the Google Maps. So what would you tell a lawyer that's saying that? Because I mean, I understand it. I mean, you know,
what I would encourage them is I would ask them, how much are you having to pay to be at number one? Because most of the time, once you've done really good SEO, maintaining that number one status isn't that expensive. However, when you stop paying for your LSA, your PPC, that goes away instantly. Organic is powerful. And I think that it's going to be even more important as we start developing into these language models, because currently, I know they're going to find a way to monetize it, but currently there's not a way to show up number one with PPC or LSA version of whatever ChatGPT or these AI language models are. So because it is pulling from organic content, that's what it's going to know. Is it's not searching the ad database or anything. It may be frustrating right now because Google's just trying to make their money. But again, long term, because of this AI integration and everything, it's pulling its data from organic content. So you still want to be number one.
and I think, you know, I'm not surprised Google, I know they do it a little bit, because I see some sponsor ads occasionally on Google Maps, but I don't know your opinion. I think that's one of the strongest positions on the Google when you do a search, because I just feel like people look at reviews now.
100%.
Everything I've read, and I just know me myself. Anything I go, I'm looking Yelp, I'm looking Amazon, I mean, even when I'm on Amazon, I'm looking at the ratings. That's what I want to know.
Yep.
I want to know who, like, you know, the reviews. And when I'm doing stuff, searching for plumbers and whatever, I'm looking for reviews. I'm not really looking at the top. That's just me, though. I'm a different type of searcher, I guess. But
what I would say, though, Ken, is typically the one with the most reviews will be number one. However, one thing that I think that people are sometimes confused on, like whenever they're working with an SEO agency and they tell them, oh, you're ranking number one for this, or number three for this, or you're in the top 10 for this, that needs to be taken with context, because there's two different places where you're showing up in SEO. So one is your map pack results. So that's, to me, for a local service business, if you're looking for local customers to provide a service to in a specific area, that is the most important place to be ranking, is in that map pack. And then the second one is called your SERPs, or your search engine result page. And that's where, when you scroll down through Google, you see the site title and the description underneath it. It's called your meta description. That's where you see those things. And how you rank in those places can be different. You could be number one on the map and number 20 on the SERP, because the map pack results is primarily coming from information from your Google business profile. So it is pulling those reviews and stuff like that way heavily. However, the Google business profile and those map packs, it is localized. So it's impossible for somebody to tell you you're ranking number one, because Google is giving the results for that based upon the searcher that's looking for it. So Take away, I tell this to clients all the time, take away your service. And let's say you are a, Chick-fil-A. If you type in Chick-fil-A, it's not going to pull up the one with the most reviews. It's going to pull up the one that's closest to you. So if a potential client is looking for law firm near me, it's not going to pull up necessarily the one with the most reviews. It's going to pull up the one that's closest to them. However, if there's two law firms in the same vicinity, like square mile radius, and one has more reviews, it will outrank that other one. And so the reviews are still extremely powerful, but where that searcher is doing the search also is important. And you can do things on your Google business profile to expand your search area so you show up in more of those places. But people need to understand the context. You can be number one when you're Googling it from your office door, but then whenever you go 10 miles down the road, you might not be.
So other than getting Google reviews, what do you need to do to try to make sure you're at the top of the Google Maps?
Yeah, great question. So on the Google review, so there's a lot that you can do to optimize your Google business profile. So the most common thing that I see whenever businesses first come to us is they haven't even filled out their profile completely. So making sure that every category that you have, you've done things like add a full description, phone number, office hours, adding, now they allow you to even connect social media accounts to it and everything. But make sure your account is completely filled out. The next thing is make sure that you have it selected for the appropriate main category and then the subcategories, because that is very important. In Google, you could be a lawyer or a law firm. And so again, depending on your competition and what you're actually trying to rank for in those keywords, you need to know what primary category you need to have set for that Google business profile. Then, in order to keep it growing, Google wants to see you be active with it. And so, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're doing three things on a consistent basis: getting reviews, adding content to it, which means adding images and adding posts, and then adding Q&As to it. And you can kind of game the system for yourself in that, to where you can ask yourself questions and then go in there and answer them. And you can ask questions that your potential customers may be Google searching just based upon keyword research. And then you can go in there and answer those questions as the business owner. But when it comes to reviews, one thing that people think that they can just get a bunch of reviews and be done with it. That is true, but if you want to stay at the top, one of the other factors that Google takes into account on keeping you at a certain rank in a position is your review velocity. That's where sometimes you can see a business that's maybe their law firm has been in business for 20 years, and let's say they've got 500 reviews. And now all of a sudden, some new law firm springs up, but they've gotten 100 reviews in the past 90 days. But maybe the law firm that's been there 20 years, they get one every couple of months. Well, in the eyes of Google, this is like the new hot thing right now because they're growing rapidly. So they are going to give that preference over the one that has been there for a long time, that is just slowly getting one review a month versus the one that's getting 30 a month. This is one thing that we've seen happen with a lot of our clients where they've been in business for a long time. And what we do is we just get them to increase their review velocity, and they're able to outrank competitors that have been there longer, that have more reviews from them, just by following those best practices.
Don't you have to be careful? Because I've had some mastermind members that have come in and got like they'll have a contest, and like all of a sudden they'll get like 100 in a week or 100 within 2 weeks, and like 30% of them will disappear.
Yep. That's not a bad thing. That is actually a good thing. And that's what that's doing, is it's protecting all of the businesses, because why those reviews aren't sticking is not because it has nothing to do with the account they're reviewing, but most likely that's the ones that are not sticking. That is the first time that person has left a review. So that is showing a possible spam flag to Google that this business went from no reviews. Now all of a sudden they're getting a ton. And let's say they get 100 reviews, but 30 of those people have never reviewed anything. Well, it looks like those could just be fake accounts that have spun up. So what you can do in that case is you can follow up with those people and ask them to leave a review again. And typically the second time it will stick. My own mother was trying to review my marketing agency, and the review wouldn't stick until a couple of times because she had never reviewed anything before. That's the issue with that. It's not because Google's punishing your reviews.
Okay.
They're trying to prevent spam.
And I know you got to be careful. I mean, I know we teach our lawyers at PILMA, do not get your client to do a review in your office unless they do it on cellular, not on your Wi-Fi, because if they keep seeing come in with the same IP address in your office, they're going to start kicking them out too. Is that right?
I have never seen that aspect of it because it's still linked to a Google account and it's not
Yep.
necessarily an IP address. Where it gets spammy is like if it's all from the same service. So if it was all like Ken@pilma.com, Sean@pilma.com, Dave at Pilma, and all of those people, then that could throw up some red flags. But at the end of the day, the throttling or hiding reviews from Google isn't necessarily a thing. It's to prevent spam. So if it looks spammy, I know everybody that's listened to this is super honest and they would never do that. But if it could appear spammy in the eyes of Google or Google's AI bots that are actually the ones monitoring this, that's when things are going to get flagged from you.
Have you ever heard of people going out and just buying reviews? I mean, I know
Yes. That's how you get shut down. So again, like I always kind of get, not kind of, I get very frustrated at people trying to think about gaming the system. Good. I was in the fitness industry for a long time, so I relate a lot of marketing to fitness. People are always looking for the magic pill. What's the one supplement I need to take or the one secret workout I need to do to get fit? It all comes down to just smart, consistent basics. You eat well, you hydrate, you get plenty of sleep, and then you move. It's kind of simple. And marketing is the same way. If you do the simple things consistently, those are the people that are winning. Now, there might be a, black hat technique that works for a little bit, but eventually all those get found out. Those accounts end up getting shut down and it ends up hurting their business. If you do the right things consistently, you're going to be the ones that end up winning and you're on top.
What's your position? Depends on who I ask, but what do you think about getting AI to write your content? Because Google said they were against it. Then they said they didn't care as long as it good, relevant, good content. Then I've heard other lawyers say, I've heard SEO guys say they've done tests and that when they use real people doing the content versus AI, and they rank better. They get better rating.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
That's an amazing question. And Ken, a lot of it has to do with context. So I can get a really bad copywriter and I can have them write an article and I can get an AI article and I can put them both out there. Well, good is still going to rank. And so if the AI content was better than the human writer, it's going to rank. And why people are doing AI wrong is they're wanting AI to do it all for them. AI is pulling the information from its database, from it crawling the internet. So it's not creating any new, unique perspectives on the content. If you're looking for, we work with a lot of like estate planning attorneys. And so if it was like, how do I create a will? Here's 10 mistakes people make whenever they're writing a will or something like that. And you're writing that article. Well, all that's doing is pulling that information and it is guessing on ChatGPT based upon what it can pull up, what the article should be. It doesn't take into your perspective or anything else like that. So us in our agency, we use a ton of AI content, but how we do it, I think, is what's made us be very successful with creating content that is unique. Because one of the big factors with ranking content is its opinion and its relevancy. So what we do, and if you don't do this, I'm going to strongly encourage you, Ken, you do all of these podcast episodes. What we try to encourage a lot of our clients to do is to either do a video podcast or create long form YouTube videos. Then what we have them do is then we will take the transcript from those podcast episodes or those YouTube videos. Then we will know the keywords we're trying to rank for. So let's say we pulled this transcript. I'll use a real life example. We could go to ChatGPT and we could say, write a blog article over SEO and Google tips for attorneys. And it's going to spit something out that's going to be pretty generic. Or we could take the transcript from this episode, plug it into ChatGPT, say the keyword that we're trying to rank for is best SEO tips for attorneys, and interject that keyword and its variations into this article based upon the context and information and topics discussed in this transcript. Then it's going to pump out an article that is unique to our perspective from everything that we've talked about. It's going to still include the keywords and the heading structure and everything. And it's going to be a much better article than even just having any human write it, because it's going to be your professional expert perspective on the situation and not just some random copywriter or random AI bot.
Use ChatGPT to give me an outline, and then I take the outline and use that, and then I kind of just dictate from that. Then get somebody that's a better writer than me to edit it. But that's what I've been scared. I've been scared to do it. But I like your idea about the podcast.
Yeah.
We did. You're not going to believe this. We did a online, I guess, a virtual event last year. It was on hiring, how to hire and hold on to A players, and we got like 8 or 9 people to do it. Some of them were lawyers, some of them were consultants. And they each spoke on a different thing. We took the transcript, we got their permission, we took this transcript, we fed it into ChatGPT and say, write us a book, using this material, write us a chapter. And each one of them was a chapter, and we give them credit. And we wrote this whole book in like 3 hours. I mean, it was like, and it went through and did a little this, and we gave it each of the chapters to the lawyers or the consultants that did the presentation. I said, you can edit it any way you want to. I think one changed a little something out of 9. And I just thought that was neat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's
that.
feeding it context. Yeah, that's how I think it should be used. I don't think lazy is going to win. Just saying, if you would have done the same thing, you just go to ChatGPT and said, write me a book over this topic, it's just going to pull random context. But again, good marketing, good principles are just going to be experts showing their expertise. And ChatGPT can't create your expertise, your unique perspective, your stories, your examples that you can add into the content.
Yeah, I like that. And then the last thing, I mean, PPC for lawyers PI lawyers anyway, seems to be very, very expensive. And it's just getting more and more expensive. I mean, it's crazy. We got a lot of them that are pulling out and are going to service ads.
Yeah.
And of course, that's a whole nother, we could spend 2 hours on local service ads. But I guess my question to you is, are you seeing people do that more? Are they pulling their budgets out? Are they putting more on LSAs versus PPC, or what do you see? What do you recommend?
Yeah, great question. So I personally, my prioritization is, number one is I want to start with organic. I want to make sure that your website's optimized and you're at least have an organic content strategy from SEO going in, because I tell people, why should you pay for something you can get for free? If your website is optimized, you might be in an area that none of your competition has really done it well. And by just getting some of the few things done right, now you can get things that you were having to pay for anyway. So that's number one. Then me personally, I like clients, especially if I was working with an attorney that is working with a specific service area, I like LSA ads better first. Reason being is because typically if I've set everything up and my agency set everything up for our clients, your Google business profile is very optimized, because LSA does weigh heavily into the strength of your Google business profile, because when people are searching for the LSA profile and they click on it, it's going to pull that up anyway. So people are going to be able to see the reviews and everything else like that. And then depending on the size of the business or the law firm in this case, LSA is kind of a safer way to go, because you're only paying if you get the actual lead. So if somebody actually calls you, or they have, click the message button to send you a message. With PPC, you're paying per click. That's literally the name of it. So again, if you haven't done the organic strategies properly and your website's not converting organically, well, now you're just paying for these clicks to go to a website that hasn't been optimized, and it's not going to convert anyway. It's not a magic pill. And then also, it's a lot easier to mess up pay-per-click ads to where you're targeting the wrong keywords. So it might not be commercial intent keywords, people that actually want to buy your service. With LSA ads, it's honestly kind of hard to mess it up, because people are looking for a specific service in a specific service area. Now, the leads are going to be a lot more expensive, but they're also going to be a much more higher quality lead, because they're not even going to be clicking on your website. They've actually wanted to call you or send you a message. So that's how I would kind of organize and structure. But I'll tell you this, across the board, ad costs are going through the roof right now. All industries. We work with, plumbers, accounting firms, med spas, everybody's ad costs are going up right now. And I think it's just because there's lots of tools that are out there that make it more I mean, this is kind of a good business move on Google. They're making it easier to get started with Google ads and pay-per-click and LSA ads. It's kind of user-friendly now. And so because of that, you don't have to hire necessarily an agency to run it all for you. You can do a lot of the setup yourself. And so there's just more people that are doing that now. And so it's driving the cost way up.
So this is something for PI lawyers. We have a problem sometimes retargeting, and you can explain it because you're the guru, but retargeting visitors to your website with, static ads or whatever, they get blocked some. So a lot of our lawyers are doing it. They're retargeting them to Facebook ads, which lets them get by with it. And then we got some lawyers that get by with it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then Google says, you're talking about medical stuff or what, which they're not, but that's Google sets their own rules and enforces them. they're judge and jury,
Yeah.
prosecutor,
And executioner. They can cut you off and kill you anytime.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think about, first tell our listeners and viewers what retargeting is?
Yeah. So what retargeting is, you put some type of little breadcrumb, or it's often called a pixel, on your website. So whenever somebody goes to your website, you are able to retarget them or show them an ad because they have already been on your website. You can also, with retargeting, how you get that information can be a lot of different ways. On Facebook and Meta, you could retarget people that like your Facebook page and have interacted with you on social, and you can follow them around the internet that way. You can also retarget people that are called lookalike audiences. So because nobody's data is private like they think it is, you can take a batch of email addresses. Let's say you've got a big client list and all their email addresses. You can feed that to Facebook, and you can create a lookalike audience based upon those email addresses. Facebook will look at all the data parameters and stuff and build a lookalike audience and show that ad based upon other people that look like that. That's how retargeting and everything works. Again, I don't like relying my business on paid ads. I think that it is a good addition to, but I am of the belief, and how I coach my clients and how we try to set everything up for them, is what's going to win is good. And what is good, if you look at the true industry experts, yes, they are doing paid ads and stuff. So I think a lot of times people think that, oh, the top people in my field are doing this. Well, let's also take a step back and look at what else they're doing. They're probably also creating a ton of content. They've done something like write a book, have a podcast. They're creating tons of video content. They've got a blog. They're doing those things that are organic, evergreen content that's going to last a lot longer. So if they get the Google slap, Zuckerberg decides they want to triple their ad costs and stuff, their whole business doesn't get shut down. Their whole marketing strategy doesn't get shut down. So me personally, how I like quote unquote retarget clients is I like to build for clients what I call as a sales funnel. And so a sales funnel is this whole relationship journey stage to get people to go from not knowing who you are to wanting to do business with you. One of the aspects of that is on your website, I think everybody should have a lead generator. That's going to be something to where people come to your website. They weren't ready to book a call, schedule a consultation or anything like that with you, but they give either their phone number, their email for some type of guide, mini course, webinar, training series and stuff. So you can retarget them when you want to. The most valuable thing in all of your marketing is your customer list. And so I think that if more businesses would spend time building that up, they wouldn't have to worry about following everybody around the internet because they'd actually own the data themselves and they could send them a message anytime they want.
Yeah. I love lead magnets too. I mean, we use them in our social media ads, but we don't really have one good one right now for Pilma. We need one. But when I was practicing law, I had 7 or 8 different consumer books that were like 50 pages long, wrote them at 8th grade level, and they had really catchy titles like the 9 myths about your workers' comp case, or the 7 fatal mistakes accident victims make in North Carolina, how to avoid them.
Yes.
How to double your chances of winning your Social Security cases. What the insurance adjusters, 9 questions you should ask an adjuster before signing anything. I mean, those things resonate with people because, and it's, but you got to make them simple to read. You got to make them very simple. I used to do mine. There was a website, I think there's several of them now. It's called Hemingway app.
Yep. Yeah. That's still a thing.
And I'd run my stuff through it and try to get it down to about a 6th, 7th grade level, because if you don't, they're not going to be able to understand it. They're not, you give them a lot of this legalese. I call it legal mumbo jumbo. They ain't going to understand a thing. They're going to get bored and throw it away.
Exactly. And that's honestly, Ken, the easiest thing. People make that sound like it's a bigger deal than what it really is. But a lead generator needs to do 3 things. Number 1, it needs to have a clear and catchy title. Number 2, so like you said, nobody wants to see, here's my ebook over, workers' comp insurance. Like nobody's going to read that, but those clear and catchy titles. So it has to have that. It can't be clickbaity though. So you don't want to have this amazing title and then the stuff inside of it fall flat. So it's got to have a clear and catchy title. The second thing is that it needs to position you as the guide for them. So you need to show empathy and authority, that you understand what it's like for them to deal with this problem, but here's all the authority of how you've solved it for other people and all of this information and value that you're giving them, because it has to actually be good. So clear and catchy title, position you as the expert, the guide. And the third one is it's got to give them the first step in the process or a quick win. You don't want to just have a bunch of fluff in there, but give them, if you solve a certain problem, give them the first step or a quick win, something that they can just do quickly and see results, because that's going to want to make them reach out and hire you. And we just were talking about AI. The easiest thing to do would be just to use Loom or any type of screen recording software, or just use the recording app on your phone, or just a record note, and just talk. Everybody that's listening to this is an expert in something in their industry or field or the specific practice of law. Just talk about a topic for a little bit, and then take that transcript, dump it into ChatGPT, and then you can at least get some good copy to start with. And then you can take that and you can hire a graphic designer, have them pretty it up for you. And probably at about an hour plus a couple of hour and $100 from a cheap graphic designer, you could get an ebook going.
Yeah. I love it. Good stuff, man. Well, it's about time to end. So 2 questions. Is there something I should ask you that I didn't ask you? And then number 2 is, if somebody wants to get up with you, how's the easiest way to do that?
Yeah, something that you should have asked me. I would say that we did a good job of covering everything. What I would tell people, if I were to give them anything of just like, hey, here's your quick win and things you can do, is don't overcomplicate the marketing. You need to, if you are working with if you've got an in-house team member that's managing it, or you're working with an agency or a vendor, if they can't clearly articulate the specific deliverables and results that they're getting for you, you need to look at replacing that team member internally, or replacing that vendor or agency that you're working with. Because what I have found, Ken, in my industry, is a lot of agencies overly complicate what it is they do, or they hold all the keys to everything, to where you have to ask the marketing agency to change a picture on your website, and you don't actually even own the stuff yourself. And they hold all the keys, so you don't actually own your own digital storefront. You need to look at that relationship and reevaluate it, because this is, as we've evolved and everything with business and everything, your website, your social media accounts and everything, your ad accounts, your data accounts and everything, that is your digital storefront. So you need to take as much care and precaution and safety around those things as you would a physical brick and mortar location in your office that you have. And it's not a second thing. It's like, oh, well, yeah, I've just got a website, so we've got some guy that runs it. Like, you wouldn't do that to your building. You'd be like, oh, yeah, the general contractor just lets me in the front door every day whenever I show up to work. Like, no, you need to own your own keys and have your own stuff. So that's one thing that I would say is, make sure that you actually own all of your marketing collateral and your digital assets for your business, and you have control over all of those, so you can't be held hostage from a marketing agency. Yep. For everyone to get in contact with me, the best way is just our website. So it's seangarner.co. And then for all of your listeners, if they go to seangarner.co/growyourlawfirm, all one word, I'm going to have a special free download for them. It's the marketing domination checklist, where they can see the things that they must have in their marketing if they want to grow their business and dominate their industry. Resources and other things that we've talked about in this call, we'll have all those links and everything on them there. So if they go to seangarner.co, seangarner.co/growyourlawfirm, we'll have all that stuff for them right there. It's the best way to connect with us on social and everything.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, thank you so much, and hope to talk again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. It's great to connect.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.